Welcome back, guys. I'm going to be sharing with you the top 7 mistakes beginners often make when it comes to the workouts. All right, starting out with mistake number 1, it's going to be bad form. We all know how detrimental bad form can be when it comes to increasing the chance for injuries and overall bad performance in the gym. I already have some videos up on this channel that go over some exercises such as squat, deadlift, and bench, and how to properly do those exercises and have good form. However, I recommend as a beginner especially, you need to look at other people's channel. Don't just stick to one person. Don't just watch my channel. Go to other people's channels. Another person could demonstrate or say something in a different manner than I do, which may be more beneficial to you and help you understand how to properly execute a movement. But first, to correct bad form, you have to realize you have bad form, and the only way to do that is to buy yourself a tripod, or even bring your water bottle, blender bottle in, whatever it may be, and have something to set your phone on or to prop it up on and record yourself performing the movement. This is the best thing I recommend, especially for beginners, not only to see their mistakes, but to understand they may have a mistake. And especially if you start feeling discomfort or pain, that may be your body's first indication that, hey, maybe you're doing something wrong. So you might want to record yourself so that way you know if it's bad form or not. And often when you have a video that shows the bad form, a seasoned lifter can obviously point that out and might even give you some constructive tips to perform better, to do that exercise better and more safely. So now with bad form fixed and out of the way, let's move on to mistake number 2, which is rest time. I see a lot of lifters, especially younger lifters, that spend a lot of time sitting on equipment, scrolling through TikTok, watching YouTube, Snapchatting, texting their buddies, whatever they may be doing. That's eating a lot of time, taking away from their muscle-mind connection that they could be getting with the weights. And it's going to not only distract them, but it's prolonging their rest sets. So they're getting 5 to 10 minute rest sets when they're nowhere near 80 to 100% of the 1 rep max, and there's no reason for them taking that long of a rest. I have a video in the fitness how-to playlist on how long you should rest depending on your fitness goal if you guys want to look at that. So for the sweet spot, I recommend anywhere between 1 to 3 minutes. I think the more you're trying to target bodybuilding and hypertrophy of the muscles, the shorter your rest time should be because you're doing a higher intensity. You're doing more reps. And when you're building strength, you want to have a little bit more rest time because you're working on that 1 rep max and trying to give it your all. So obviously when you get closer to the 100% of your 1 rep max, you're going to need more rest time. So that 3-minute mark might be better for you if you're working towards building strength. So now that our rest time is dialed in, let's go into problem number 3, which is not utilizing free weights in the gym. Now, as a beginner, when you walk into the gym, you see all these nice, fancy, expensive machines, and you hop on them and they feel great. They're smooth, you're getting a good little pump, but you're not working out your stabilizers like you would when you're using free weights. So when you perform exercises on these machines, they have you in a fixed position. There is no wobble. There is no you trying to stabilize the weight because it's trying to swing on you, it's trying to move around. And so you're missing out on reaping the benefits from increasing your stabilizer strength, but overall increasing performance and strength outside of the gym. Or let's say, for example, you try to squat 315 pounds on free weight with a barbell, and you can only do 335 on a Smith machine. More than likely, you're not going to be able to perform well because your stabilizer muscles in your body have not been trained to hold that weight, let alone stabilize that weight on the way down, on the way up, and ensure that you're going to be able to perform that safely. You may increase your chance of injury if you go from, okay, well, I can do 335 on the Smith machine. Let's go try to do barbell squat for some reps. And you may have bad form there, but have good form on the Smith machine. So that's why I recommend, again, to record yourself, especially if you go from being machine dominant to starting to dabble in the free weight range. You need to come into that realm slow and not just think, okay, well, we do this much on Smith, we do this much on this machine, so obviously we're ready for that free weight. You're not. You haven't trained that way yet. You need to allow your body time to adapt so that way you don't injure yourself. However, I think machines are great, especially if you're a bodybuilder, not really worried about strength. I think the use of machines are not only great for the swelling of the muscles, but also for the hypertrophy of the muscles, because a bodybuilder's training style is going to vary from a powerlifter's training style, and a bodybuilder is going to want that higher rep range. The bodybuilder is going to want that higher time under tension. So I think you get a lot of benefits from using machines, but I think you get better benefits in the strength department when it comes to free weights. And for overall fitness, I think you should utilize both. I like utilizing as a power lifter, especially on my arm and accessory days, some machines, not only just to help build my muscles up, they are great when it comes to getting a good pump. I think you can utilize them to not only increase your overall fitness, but also your aesthetics and strength. So now that we got the free weights versus machine discussion out of the way, let's get into splits. A lot of people will look online for splits, cookie cutter programs to follow to help them reach that fitness goal, whatever it may be, whether it's building strength, whether it's building size. However, I don't believe in cookie cutter programs. I think you need to look and listen and see what other people are doing, such as splits, and take from that and build your own split. And try it out. Especially as a beginner, your split is probably not going to work the first go around and it's not going to be optimized for you. However, over time, you can figure out what exercises work for you. The split I did, the exercises I did when I was a beginner are drastically different than what I do now. The first few years of my lifting, I did a lot of decline bench because I thought it was the only way to really target this lower shelf of your chest. However, as I've got older and the more experience I've got, I actually prefer doing dips now to target not only my lower shelf of my chest, but also my triceps, and I've got way better strength and aesthetic results from doing so. So some of the exercises you do in the beginning are probably not gonna follow you the longer you go into this fitness journey and the longer you learn for yourself, because everybody's gonna respond to certain stimulus differently. Someone's biceps might blow up from just hitting some preacher curls and adding that into their exercise routine, while some may really benefit from just doing regular pull-ups. But the mistake the majority make is thinking something doesn't work too quickly and trying to change up their regimen or their split too quickly. You are not able to go to 1 to 2 weeks of working out with a split and say, this isn't working. We gotta change this up. We gotta completely get a new split offline. You know, let's scroll through Reddit, let's go to YouTube, let's find a new split to follow because this one's obviously not working. You have to give it time. You have to train. I recommend at least a month, at least 4 weeks before you even think about changing anything up in that regimen or that split, because you don't know. You have to give your body time to recover, and you have to put your body through enough stimulus to figure out if that's actually working or not. Now, when it comes to making it your own and personalizing your split, I recommend taking into account if you maybe think you might be doing too much in a day. You know, you might have too many sets going on in chest day. You know, maybe we shouldn't be hitting shoulders on our chest day or before we hit chest. Maybe that's hindering us. Maybe that needs to be moved to our arm and accessory day right before leg day to give our upper body a little bit of a break and a little bit of rest time. You need to optimize it for yourself and optimize it go through life. You know, if you're working manual labor 5 days out of the week, maybe you want those 2 days of rest away from work to be those 2 days that you hit the heavy lifts, such as your deadlift, such as your squat or your bench. You know, you need to optimize it for you. The bottom line is, it's not a bad thing to look online for splits or regimens, but don't expect great results from a cookie cutter program because that's not optimized for you. Over time, you'll be able to create that split, that regimen that is optimized for you. So for now, look at all the resources you have online, look at other people, look at their testimonies, and see what regimen you might want to do. You know, write it down, be like, okay, well that worked for him, those dips work for him, maybe I should add dips. You know, actually I think decline works better for me. So let's add decline and let's move those dips to arm day, you know? That way we're getting it in during the week, whatever it may be, however you want to rationalize it, you can optimize it and create it for yourself and your individual needs. And that's going to help you get closer to your goal way quicker. But do not change it too quickly. That's the mistake. The mistake is not going to the gym. The mistake is not doing a poor cookie cutter regimen. The mistake is changing the regimen too quickly and not allowing your body to have 4 weeks to properly respond to the stimulus you're giving it. And you're robbing yourself of knowing whether those exercises or that split is worth anything by changing it too quickly. If you go 4 weeks and it really isn't working, then you know that most exercises you're doing need to be changed around or completely swapped out. Then you know. Now moving on to the next mistake is, in my opinion, worse than changing your routine or split too quickly, is not having a designated routine or split. The worst thing you can do is come into the gym every day for 5 days and be like, let's hit chest today. Come back in the next day, let's hit chest again. Come back in the next day, let's hit arms. Okay, now I think we should hit some legs. Come back in the next day, I think my chest is ready for another chest day. You're coming in based off feelings. You're not sticking to a designated program. There's no method to the madness. You are just coming in and throwing your body through whatever you want to throw it through based off feeling alone. That means training frequency for some of the muscle groups are going to be higher than others, and it's going to vary from month to month, which means for half a year, you may have a better chest, and then for the other half of the year, you may have a better lower body. Because maybe in those winter months, you're preferring to hit more deadlifts, you're preferring to hit more squats, and you're kind of putting chest and arms to the side, you know, whatever. And that's not going to build an overall good physique. You need to have a regimen that's targeting the muscle groups a certain amount of time and having good training frequencies per muscle group. I think some muscle groups can be trained twice a week. I'm not saying don't train twice a week. Sometimes people even stretch it out to 3 times a week for a muscle group. I think that's a little much in my opinion. However, if that works for you, go for it. But what I don't want to see is you coming in and hitting chest, hitting arms, and doing like a bro split and completely neglecting the lower body. You need to have a routine. So for example, I have my split up on my YouTube channel, and go check that out and understand why I have my split set up that way. Go watch this very short video. I think it can help you in building up your own personal split. Moving on to mistake number 6, which can cost you greatly, is ego lifting. You know, coming into the gym and lifting a little heavy too quickly. When you come into the gym, you need to leave the ego at the door. Don't bring it into the gym with you. You're there to get better, not to show how good you are now. And this could also be classified as ego lifting when you go up for a PR too quickly. I've done that before, especially when I was younger. I'm gonna throw you up a clip right now where my form is absolutely horrendous, and I thank God that I'm not injured greatly from lifting like this, because my form was awful. Yes, I pulled the weight, but my form was horrendous. So you need to be sure you're recording your form, making sure your form is not breaking down too much the higher you go up in weight, because obviously the higher you go up in weight, your form is going to break down a little bit. There's nothing you can do to help that, but if it breaks down to such a degree, like your back is looking like a damn fishing rod, then I recommend you lower the weight and get some more beneficial sets in that are not going to increase your risk for injury. Because if you injure yourself, you're going to set yourself way back. So you chasing numbers right now, like, oh, we got to get 500 pounds on deadlift, and my form is horrible, but I just want that number. If you just give your body 2 more months and train with a lower weight and just wait, give your body that time it needs to get there. Don't rush it, because if you rush it, you could set yourself back months or even years. I was out for a couple injuries for a year and a half, worst year and a half of my life, and I think a lot of it was just training too much. I mean, my frequency was through the roof. I was not giving my body enough time to rest. I was training 6 days out of the week and doing probably 4 to 5 hours of powerlifting and martial arts together, which, as you guys know, those really don't go together, because as you weight lift, your muscles get really tight, and for martial arts, you need flexibility, and throwing those high kicks can be really dangerous. So you need to take your split and rest time into consideration when it comes to how far out are you from that PR. You know, maybe we should wait a couple more months. Give your body a little bit of time. Obviously, when you go for a PR, you're always at a risk, because it's a PR. It's a PR for a reason. You're giving it 100% of what you've got. But that's also why a lot of the elite powerlifters and elite lifters don't PR every month. They may try to go up for a PR maybe twice a year, because there is such an increased and elevated chance for an injury. And by leaving your ego at the door and not trying to prove yourself to people that really don't care, you're going to be able to go further than people that are ego lifting, and they're going to slip a disc trying to prove something to nobody. And the seventh mistake I think a lot of beginners, especially even seasoned lifters, make is dehydration. They're not constantly consuming water throughout their workout, in between their sets, during the rest time, and the dehydration can lead to decreased performance, but it can also lead to a higher chance of muscle cramps and overall extra fatigue after your workout. So be sure you're picking up that water bottle in between your sets and hydrating. Hope this video is informational for you guys. If you guys would like to share a common mistake you made, especially as a beginner, let me know in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a good morning, a good night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.